Hello everyone. Before viewing, be sure to like and write comments. Enjoy your viewing. I wonder what I would do if one day I had superpowers? This question worried many, like our main character, but he has a chance to get real superpowers. Shinram Station, a guy, Kim-san, enters the arriving train. That's the name of our main character. Skinny, short, black-haired introvert, studying at a high school in Nanju. He likes to read manhwa, where he prefers charismatic villains rather than pious main characters. Yesterday, this inconspicuous guy got superpowers. A week ago, on behalf of the main character, Jun Saab and I were walking home from school and thinking about what to do when suddenly we were called. It was a gang from Taeyong school. For fun, they started beating us to death. Thinking I was going to die, I grabbed some garbage and threw it at them. As a result, the scumbag I got into wanted to make me eat it. I tried to resist, but the forces were not equal. After swallowing this ball, I don't remember anything. I only remember that I suffered all this time knowing that no one would help me because I am an orphan. A week later, on behalf of the main character, when I woke up, I felt that there was a desert in my mouth. Opening the refrigerator, I found only a Coke. After drinking it, I remembered about those assholes who beat us up. Out of anger, I clenched my fist and threw the clenched jar to the side, not noticing how much it was crumpled. I went to get water, went outside, where I got angry again. Remembering those freaks, I hit a pole nearby. Boom. I was very surprised by my strength. There was a decent hole on the pole. Crack. Unable to withstand the weight of the lamp, he fell, cutting off the power supply system. The screams of angry residents began, because of which I ran away from the scene. Not understanding what was going on, I ran home, where I began to think about my new strength. When I saw the jar near the trash can, I was surprised by its shape. I took a coin to test my strength. Fuck. It's crazy. I crumpled it up like a piece of paper. So my experiments began with renewed vigor. I've tried a lot of things. Tear up an entire book? Easy. Break the frying pan? Easy as pie. Suddenly I had a crazy idea. With super strength, do I have invulnerability? I took a kitchen knife and hit the other hand with all my might. Bam. The knife broke. I don't understand how I got superpowers. I went to the roof to find out my limit. I wanted to find out how high I could jump. And jump. I started to feel that I was getting hot. Because of the high speed, I could not open my eyes. Finally, the impulse went out and I stopped. Opening my eyes, I looked around. What? Suddenly I was in space. Suddenly I realized that I was starting to fall. After a while I landed in some desert in China. Bam. The landing was not pleasant. I don't remember how many days I lay unconscious, but I remember exactly how it seemed to me that every bone in my body was broken. When I woke up, I examined myself and found myself completely unharmed. I was able to get home very easily. I just need to run fast. Kim-san's house. Kim-san was lying on the couch and watching TV, switching channels. He came across a channel with an interview of the hero. The hero talked about protecting citizens and catching villains. Cheers of joyful people were heard, but the main character did not see anything special in him. In his opinion, this hero is a simple show-off because the villain he caught sucks. In Kim-san's mind, if he had become a villain, he would have done it better than him. Suddenly he realized one thing. He can become a villain himself. With his superpower, he would be a cool and attractive villain. In comics, according to the plot, the villains are rich and charismatic, and the heroes are always dealing with problems and getting from the antagonists. The guy became more confident in his decision after reading the manhwa. I will definitely become a villain, said Kim-sang with a frightening smile on his face. High school. Kim-sang was sitting in class and bored. It's been 3 days since he decided to become a villain. He was determined, but he didn't know where to start and what to do. His fuse was slowly going out, and he was thinking about becoming a hero. The bell rang. Jun Saab came up to him to ask about his condition and absenteeism. The guy started telling how he would beat these jerks. If they fought honestly, then he would beat them, to which the main character accused his friend of bragging and lying. Their conversation was interrupted by Lee Jae-yoon, a girl who likes Kim Sang. She asked about his absenteeism and whether he had become a slacker. Jun Sob was outraged by her neglect of him, to which she hugged him. At this moment, the main character stammered that he was busy praising her beauty in his thoughts. Lee Jae-yoon said that Kim Sang would not miss lessons and she would keep an eye on him, left. Jun Sob said Jae-yoon has a cute face, but she's a kid. He asked his friend about her seduction. From these words, anger filled Kim Sang, to which Jun Sob laughed, saying that every dog in the area knows about the feelings of the protagonist to her. Their conversation was interrupted again, but it was already third-year students who collect money from students every week. Kim Sang didn't like it all, which made him angry again. After they took the money from Jae-yoon, the main character told them to get out of here, but the third-year students did not hear him. One of them put his hand on Kim Sang's shoulder and asked what he said. The main character was scared of this and could not repeat what was said normally. Confused, he just handed over the money, after which they left. One of them hit Kim Sang and said he would keep an eye on him. Worried about Jun Sob, after they left, he asked if everything was fine with Kim Sang and threatened the high school students that they would meet again, although he did not tell them anything when collecting money. After school, Kim Sang sits on a bench and thinks about what happened. With his strength he can erase stones into powder and their skulls would split once or twice. But he couldn't do anything because even with such strength inside, he didn't change. He's still the same coward who was afraid even of these punks, whether he could change. The main character began to think about today's collecting money. For sure, he can start to engage in extortion, but because of his character, he began to think about the ethical side of the issue. It's somehow wrong to take money from ordinary people, but he decided that he would take it from that school gang because they took this money from others anyway. Kim Sang's house, Kim Sang was sitting at the table and making something. It was his new mask. After finishing, the joyful guy began to praise his work and even gave a name to the mask, but soon blushed from this. Kim Sang decided to check his work and put a mask on his face, but everything turned out to be not as joyful as he imagined, with the slightest movements it tore. Being in a desperate situation, in the end he decided to just put on a medical mask. Every day, Kim Sang made circles around the Taeyong school, but he could not catch them in full force. Sometimes meeting with other bandits, he decided to take money from them, but seeing their faces, he ran away from fear. It was the second week of the main character's festivities. During all this time he could not rob anyone, but he was very proud of himself, as if he had already become someone significant. During this time, he had already gotten used to their disgusting faces, but he was still afraid to stand next to them. He decided that he could find someone simpler when he saw two students in the dark school uniform of the Taeyong school, who were not so scary. Trying to gather his strength, looking in the mirror, he began to repeat to himself that he could. In the alley, two Taeyong school students were standing in the alley and talking about their antics. One had red hair, the other yellow. When suddenly they were called out, it was our main character. He threatened them to give their money, and for every 10 won that he finds, he will beat them. From such a speech, Kim Sang blushed with embarrassment, but the two bandits ignored everything. They thought they were being accosted by some kind of psycho and started digging into Kim Sang. The confused protagonist tried to pull himself together, but the bandits began to extort money from him. One of them was about to hit the main character when someone stopped his hand. It turned out to be the hero whose interview San had seen on TV, the hero of Respol. Usually he does not deal with childish disassembly, another person does it, but in this case he could not pass by. The same alley, Respol advised the bandits to go home, to which the red-haired man took out a knife, saying that the heroes are the same ordinary people. Kim Sang remembered that he had seen this hero on the news. Respol was surprised by this, but did not get confused. He said that children nowadays have completely strayed from their hands since they carry knives with them. A bandit with a knife, saying that he was not joking, rushed at the hero, to which he snapped the blade of the knife into pieces. Surprised by this, the bandit lost touch with reality and did not expect a blow from the hero, after which he flew a couple of meters back. At first, Respol wanted to pull jokes on them, but the attempted murder changed his decision. The yellow-haired man, who was afraid of such a force, was taken aback, to which the hero told him to take his friend and roll home, advising him not to use a knife during a fight. To which the schoolboy, angry, shouted that they would not just leave it, but after the evil look of the hero, he abruptly began to praise him. After the departure of the two bandits, Rispol complained about the current children and said it was time to amend the law on minors. When the two of them left, it was Kim-san's turn. Rispol asked what he was going to do. He said that if our main character wants to do such things, then he needs to gain strength, but Rispol does not advise him to become a bandit. After the hero's departure, Kim-san was twisted with anger. He promised himself that he would rather die than receive help from the hero. He realized that no matter how strong he was, he remained a pathetic coward. A sense of shame engulfed San. He was disappointed in himself and very angry at his own weakness. This was the first time he had experienced such intense anger. Suddenly, his inner voice spoke to him. He pushed the guy to kill. He asked San why he was putting up with all this. It was easier to just kill than wait, why he was wasting such a huge force. An inner voice asked Kim-san if he was afraid. He said that he would help him and do everything himself. At the same time, a group of schoolchildren was walking through the alley. They were discussing what plans when one of them noticed Kim-san, who was kneeling and holding his head. The young man who noticed San introduced himself as Song Chan-yel, asking who our main character was and not getting an answer. He got angry. They thought that he was not responding because he was beaten, while the inner voice of San provoked him. Chan-yel picked up a metal stick and was about to hit San with it, but the voice in San's head was pushing him to kill these scum. San did not want to go to the murder, but the voice did not stop. He could not stand it. He got angry and hit Chang Yi, who fell under the hot hand, tearing off his arm. The main character did not understand what happened, like the victim himself. He did not understand where his arm was, but he began to feel pain in his shoulder. Unable to withstand the painful shock, he fell dead into a puddle of his blood. Friends of the deceased began to run away, calling Kim-san a monster and a murderer. After everything that happened, the main character began to realize what he had just done, namely, killed a man. Unable to withstand this, he ran away from the scene of the crime. News: yesterday, in one of the alleys of the Sinchon district, the body of a young man was found. The age of the deceased was 18 years old. The victim was Song Jang-yel, the second year of Jangyun High School. Approximate time of death: 10 minutes past 11. A morgue, a man in a doctor's gown told about the incident. The criminal cut off the victim's right hand, after which the student died as a result of acute blood loss and traumatic shock. The hand was cut off with a sharp object, presumably an axe. Rispol, who was told this, blamed himself for the fact that the crime occurred in the place where he was doing his rounds yesterday. He understood that the hand was not cut off with a sharp object because eyewitnesses testified that the criminal did it with his bare hands. According to them, he was incredibly strong and ferocious. To which the doctor was indignant and said that it was impossible, but he was sure of it because the witnesses were there with him. He knew several people who could do it. The doctor apparently also knew them, but he just said they. He assumed that an evil hand was involved because a simple person is not capable of such a thing. Another man in a bathrobe said that the criminal was wearing a mask and asked if Rispol knew of such. The hero began to suspect Kim-san because he saw him in a mask on the day of the crime, but he did not know what happened after he left. Rispol said goodbye to the doctor and left to meet with them. Somewhere on the street, people were peacefully going about their business. The weather was fine outside when suddenly there was an explosion. Uncomprehending people saw an evil hand in the dissipated smoke. It was a huge fanged purple villain. With quick movements, he pierced the man next to him through with his hand. People began to run away in panic, but the evil hand was not alone. There was another big gray-skinned villain with him, dressed in a yellow mask, underpants, boots, and gloves. The fleeing people noticed a man who did not run away from the villains, but specifically walked in their direction. It turned out to be the hero Hanel, dressed in casual clothes and glasses. The evil hand noticed a man who was taking off his clothes and recognizing in him Hanel, the strongest man on the planet, jumped away from him as if scalded. The purple villain said he wanted to check out the rumors, which say that unlike an ordinary person, he is incredibly strong. Not surprised by this behavior, the hero said that the villain would check them in any case. He began to insult the evil hand, provoking him. The monster could not stand the ridicule in his direction and jumped on Hanel, to which he formed a lightning bolt in his hand and cut the villain into two parts. Seeing this, Sowen, the fiery devil, the second villain, rushed at the hero, to which he called Sohwansel, the spirit of the Holy Virgin, with the help of some kind of talisman. The villain of the size, which was like the hand of this maiden, was just swatted like a mosquito, after which he disappeared. People who saw their idol and how he easily coped with the villains surrounded him and began to praise him. The embarrassed hero, who was asked to take a picture of his little fan, could not refuse. After that, the girl asked the hero if he would marry her when she grew up, to which the confused Hanel jokingly replied that he would be only glad. Suddenly, people began to ask for a photo in a crowd. A man in a suit and dark glasses saved him, saying that they were calling him, and it was urgent. Picking up the phone, Hanel heard the voice of Respol, who told him about yesterday's incident and asked him to gather all the heroes tonight. Grigori is a team of the strongest heroes, dominating all other teams on Earth. The headquarters of the Grigori team, Respol, told about the crime and its details, from which it can be concluded that someone is now committing atrocities that they still did not know about. Bloody Lynx is a member of the Grigori team. I thought why they were all called. It turned out that because of the death of a high school student, he asked if high school students could not cut off another's hand in their time. To which Masterjan, also a member of the Grigori team, said that if Respol had gathered them all here, then it was a serious matter. Respol explained that the victim's hand was not just cut off, it was literally torn off with his bare hands. Even he is not capable of such a thing. Hearing this, the heroes were surprised. The Russian Blue, breed of cats, a member of the Grigori team, said that if Respol is not capable of this, then there is nothing to think about the other heroes, they would not be able to create such a thing. Respol said that of all the heroes that he knows, only the cat and Hanel have enough strength for this. The lynx was indignant. He asked Respol that he thought if he could not, then the lynx would not have mastered. The hero stood in a stupor from such a question, but when he woke up, he said that naturally the lynx would not have been able to do such a thing. The offended Bloody Lynx asked how long he had been receiving Respol for something. He decided to further anger his teammate. Esther, a member of the Grigori team, who saw their quarrels every Friday, compared them to her grandfather and father who fought drunkenly. Their quarrel was interrupted by a cat asking where to find Dark and whether they could entrust this matter to her. According to Respol, she is skipping the meeting again. Perhaps somewhere in a dark alley she is wedding criminals. Hanel concluded that now a man with incredible superpowers appeared on their territory. It could be a hero or a powerful villain. Kim-san's house, from the first person of Kim-san, I was sitting on the bed with my legs hugged and thinking about the recent murder of a man. I saw the news where Chan was shown, but I was absolutely not tormented by guilt. Suddenly some voice spoke in my head. He started telling me that I did the right thing. I don't have to be afraid because I can kill everyone who gets in my way. This is my essence. Something got stuck in my head and I changed. A month has passed since the murder, from the first person of Kim-san. Lately I have been skipping classes and continuing to wander around the district in order to take money from someone. I don't feel guilty about that incident and so far everything is going well for me. Now I am not afraid of these disgusting faces of Gopnik. Suddenly I saw two guys who were sitting in an alley. I decided to approach them, called out to them and coming closer, one of them decided to hit me, but I calmly dodged and hit him in the jaw. Previously, I would have been scared of him, but now I don't care. It may be because of how often I began to see them. I didn't meet anyone except Gopnik. I regularly take money from them. I should have thought of this earlier. I'm in a surprisingly good mood. I was thinking about living in this way and expanding such a business when suddenly someone called out to me. It was Jae-yoon. She asked what I was doing here, to which I removed the mask from my face out of harm's way. I decided to change the subject and asked what she was doing here. She said she was worried about me because I haven't been going to school for a day. Seeing me safe and sound, she drew attention to the thing in my hands. I told her that there was nothing there. When asked why I don't go to school since I'm not sick and the message that she came to me, I was surprised and thought that the teacher asked her, but it was not so. Suddenly a fist flew into my face. It was Jae-yoon. She covered her face with her other hand and laughed, then hit me several times. It was very fast, then threatened that I was a corpse if I skipped again. After my beating, she smiled and said that if I understood, then she would go, and I had to come tomorrow, all beaten up. I said that I understood everything and offered to accompany her, although with such a heavy fist she herself would get home perfectly. Refusing and saying that she was no longer small, Jae-yoon left, and I could not say that I was seeing her off. Kim-san's house. Kim-san was lying in bed and thought that because of all these events he had completely forgotten about school. He wondered if he needed a school at all, but remembering that Jae-yoon told him, his answer was yes, he must come. High school in Nanju. San walking down the corridor was called by his friend Jun Saab. He asked about the absence of his friend. The main character said that he was busy with business, to which his friend started talking about San's lies, because for sure he just started an anime marathon. Arguing, they reached the classroom door. Opening it, Kim Sang's love saw them. Jae-yoon was glad to see him and hurried him. Suddenly someone shouted for everyone to sit down. It was the third-year students who came to collect tribute, but this time the main character has changed a little. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, then like it and write a comment. All bye.